And we are live on the Hangout. And assuming we're all ready for the main, I'm going to mute my mic and then tell you to go in TeamSpeak. Should I wait till the video's over or right when I start the video?
Just right when you start the video, say go, and then we'll know to wait 15 seconds.
Okay.
Because that's the length of the clip.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third installment of the Clear Comms podcast. Sorry for that that short delay after the intro video. We'll get that worked out. Let's go ahead. Sorry for that little bit of technical problem I said. So this is our third show. I am TRG Kegerator. With me today is Kill6 and Element 17. We have an interesting show lined up for you guys. We're going to be talking about our new PAL events, some of the other games we've been doing. We'll be talking about the Medic patch, the PlanetSide 2 game balance patch coming up, some PlanetSide 1, and a little bit of what else has been going on in the clan. So I want to take a minute and let Element and Kill6 introduce themselves. That's where we're going.
Well, it looks like Kill6 is taking a swig of his beer because, it's beer. I'm Element, Element 17. I am, I guess, a critic or voice here in TRG. Been here for a little over a year, and I'm one of your co-hosts for Clear Comms.
I'm the other guy, Kill6. I'm here. I don't have much else. We introduce ourselves every week, so I think it's getting a little redundant. So I think we should push forward.
Okay, well, I just want to take a few minutes before we jump into our segments, kind of talk about where the show's going and where we plan to be going from here. Right now, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we are back in force, taking our time off to kind of formalize the show a little bit, come up with some new content for you guys, and kind of decide which way we want the channel to go to. And as always, if you feel like you want to add to the direction the show is going, feel free to go on the forums. We have our own forum channel set up. If you have any ideas or comments or critiques or anything, feel free to throw them up there. And really the first thing coming out in that will be we are looking for guest hosts. So if you're interested in guest hosting, if there's a game you like to play or some particular thing you want to get off your mind and you feel like coming onto a webcam and talking to it in front of our 10 or 15 viewers, we are looking for people to do that. So go online to TRG forums under the Clear Comms, or I think it's still DropPodCast forums, and respond to the thread that Element started there.
And as always, if you're not a TRG member and want to maybe actually be a guest host, contact us directly at TRG Clan on Twitter.
So let's go ahead and kind of start into our first segment of the day. I think Element's going to be talking about this, but we just had a big game balance patch that just came out, and we had a lot of changes to our TR weapons since our last show. And also, I don't know if they're coming out this next week's patch or the week after, but we're going to have implants coming out, and those are going to be pretty changing. So what do you got? What do you guys got on that for us?
Well, it's been what, April since we last had this podcast, so that big game balance patch came through, and boy did it come through, because the TR now actually feel how the other factions feel when you like swap over, play fourth faction and whatnot. Like, just the slight variations of recoil and reload speed, velocity of some weapons. They actually changed the Lynx to be the fastest firing carbine in the game. Sorry, VS, you can suck it, because the TR are the goddamn bitch. We also got a new tier of carbines on the 167 damage tier. So I know the TR got the Cougar, which sounds like a horny housewife. I really like it. The actual shots of the gun sound really beefy. They actually changed like every single like LMG, carbine, AR or assault rifle. All those game sounds are now different, and they just sound a lot more beefier.
Yeah, I gotta say I love the new game sounds. I went on a little bit of PlanetSide 2 hiatus when I came back, and all the new LMG and the carbine sounds are out there, and it actually sounds like you're shooting a gun instead of a fucking some kind of airsoft thing. It's great.
Although a lot of people, they say that they like the new TMG sound. Obviously, they didn't hear it or use the old TMG, because the old TMG just actually sounded really, really beefy. Like, you're out in the field and boom, 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 boom. To me, that's how the TMG should sound, not how it currently sounds. But that's just me. So
I agree. I think it sounded good before, but it sounds more like a belt-fed machine gun now. Like, it has a lot closer to like an M2, or not quite there, maybe a 240 Bravo in real life. It just sounds really good. I like the way it sounds now. I like the way a lot of the guns sound, but that one,
yeah,
I like the change. Although I agree, it was the least in need of a change.
oh, definitely. Like, what else got changed? I think a week after that actual April game balance came out, because they were trying to do stuff with the 64-bit version, and I believe that they actually have it right. They just got to make a few slight changes based on like the actual performance of the game in 64-bit, because a lot of people that I've talked to have said, that it seems to be a lot more performance dampening on like the actual system. So like you're actually getting like close to 10 to 20 frames lower than you normally would in, let's say, 32. So there's that, they got to change that a little bit, and I'm sure SOE knows that. But like 64-bit, wow, it's like you can play for 6 hours and I have a crash. It's awesome.
I just want to do a quick shout out to the MCG, because that came up, because that thing got awesome. I love using that thing. It's an awesome video. It sounds cool. It shoots good. It's the most fun gun in the game right now. So I just want to put that out there. And also, the BRRT, which is just, instead of being the fart, it's just the fart noise. I love SOE's humor on that one.
I gotta say personally, coming back, I love I think the MCG was the biggest change to that balance patch. I love what they did, kind of pushing that medium range roll. I think it does that really, really well.
Definitely, like they actually did something to the jackhammer with the reload. I don't remember exactly what. I don't have the patch notes in front of me, because that was like it seems like a year ago to me. But like the MCG rapid refire toggle, 100 certs, and pretty much you don't have a windup anymore. It's just, you have that reticule, and it only sticks to that, and it's awesome. Like, you can just pick people off at medium range and be like, haha, this is why the MCG should be, the way it should have been that way in the very, very beginning, in my opinion. I mean, because like the jackhammer, way too overpowered, especially for those faction-specific weapons. Each one of them has a role, and the jackhammer just took the cake all the way.
Yeah, that's probably why they, keep banning them in PAL. They're just too strong in their role. It makes it a lot like a force multiplayer on that 12 or 12 arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I've seen the competitive, the kind of two competitive formats that are going. The community clash, which we've done, which is kind of a full open game. But in the PAL format, they seem to be banning a lot of things that are force multipliers. And I was actually a little bit against that format until we actually played around. And I admit I really enjoyed that a little bit more than I enjoyed the community clash, probably just because we didn't get camp at libs the whole time. But that's another show. But that kind of brings us into our next segment for the day. And that's, so Tier G is making a big push to get into this competitive environment and this competitive team play. And I think all three of us on the show have been involved in both the community clash and the PAL format. And PAL format, for those that don't know, I'm sorry, is the professional Planetside Arena League, I believe. It's a
Pro Arena League.
Pro Arena League, right?
Yeah.
One of those. But it's a 12 versus 12, so it's a squad versus squad format, where it's very much limited down to just infantry combat. So no tanks, no vehicles, no maxes, no shotguns, no heavy weapons of any faction, so no Lasher, no Jackhammer, no MCG. I want to say no shotguns either, but there are some various other limitations. Oh, and no smoke. And I personally, I wish there was smoke, but I understand why they banned it. It does make it a much better viewing experience when you're not just giant clouds of smoke everywhere. Of course, I personally don't understand why Sony can't program like a night vision scope into their observer cam, but whatever. So yeah, why don't we? I guess I'll take volunteers, and who wants to go first? Just kind of nod it. Tell us about, so Killsix, tell us about your experience with PAL and what you're thinking. I know this is a big old can of worms, so let's spend some time on it.
All right, so first things first, I think we have a goal in mind. Me and Sardis sat and talked about it, and most of the PAL team did. We sat and talked about it for a long time after our last match against NNG, which we lost 0-2. That one was kind of an eye-opener for us, so we kind of decided to change the way we do things. Just really try and get people running a little more tight-knit. That's what we do things on Ops Nights now. There's a whole squad, Delta, dedicated to running together, fighting together, just becoming cohesive. And that's kind of what we're aiming for, is just to build that team cohesion. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And I think we kind of came at it because I was in there for some of that conversation. And, we're kind of running what we call our Delta Squad now, which is almost like the latest iteration of the old bastards that kind of shifted into Noble. And now we're kind of shifting it into, we're calling it Delta, or just the PAL League. It seems like there's a lot of back and forth, and it's a good day, a bad idea. But I'll give you my personal views. I think it's something that needs to be done if we're going to be able to compete in these small 12-man, even these 24-man tournaments. Because so much of that, as you get with a smaller team play, so much of it is knowing what the other guy is going to be like around you, and really being able to work as a unit. Even though it kind of, you would think as you get smaller, it's more about personal skill, and it definitely is. Also, but that small team cohesiveness, knowing that Kill 6 is going to flank right, and Element's going to always likes to take the bottom the bottom route while running through a sink building. I mean, those little things that in kind of live in the larger battles, somebody's going to do that because out of the 50 people running up that staircase, somebody's going to turn right. Really knowing how to do that is something I noticed really. I mean, this is what I saw at NNG. I mean, NNG, they were absolutely not better players than us. Than they really weren't. But they were just better organized than we were, and that's what held them out towards the end of the match.
Yeah, they came in with a better plan, and a lot of what we're going for when we had that conversation was just building discipline. A lot of what we do on live is we kind of just run around and do stuff all over the place, and it's getting people into the habit when they're playing competitively in that environment when they're supposed to be playing tight together, just have them be tighter. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what we were going for.
So what are you thinking, Element? You haven't really chimed in a ton to this conversation.
You guys have pretty much hit the nail on the head. Basically, of all the things that I can think of, like the fact that we now have a dedicated squad for our competitive players, or players that want to be competitive. It's there. It's there on ops nights, and we can actually take that squad, move it somewhere, and be like a grand old FU squad. Basically, that's what happened the very first time that we did it, and it worked. It worked so well, because the rest of the platoon is now going after other points at said base, and now it's just a giant cluster of, we don't, the other factions are like, what do we do? You got to focus on somebody. So there's that point of view for Delta, and then I really like what PAL is doing on a weekly basis, because they now have outfits to actually sign up, test their skills in kind of like a preseason before the actual PAL season. It's called PAL Weekly, and it is just a great way, to actually showcase your skills, showcase your outfit, and test out other teams that may in the future be in that tournament.
So I'm gonna kind of take the step of devil's advocate, reading through the forums, and poke this a little bit. So one of the concerns that comes up, and I think this comes up anytime you talk about making a subset of a larger clan. So what about the fear of, this is going to be the elite guys that only want to play with the elite guys? I mean, what are we doing to address that, or do we think that's going to be a problem that we're going to run into?
So basically, the idea is to, it's the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, it has to be somewhat exclusive. Squad's limited to 12, PAL's limited to 12. We have to submit a roster. For the whole PAL season, there's actually a hard roster. We can't change that. So when we submit that, those 12 people have 15 with subs. Those 15 people have to be able to work together, know how to work together. So in the interest of not trying to exclude people too much, we know that not everyone's going to be on every night. So any vacant spots in Delta Squad are open to whoever wants them. It's first come, first serve. And what we saw, I think, is Friday night, is people in other squads started just doing kind of what we were already doing. A lot of that had to do with the fact that there wasn't, TR just out-popped everyone ridiculously everywhere, and it's hard to find a good fight, so that kind of had something to do with it. But really, we're trying to strike as much of a balance as we can. We understand that it's going to alienate some people, especially the more casual people who see it as an exclusive squad, all the elite dudes, and that's why we're pushing around with the main platoon. That's why we're helping them with, hold objectives, we're prepping bases, we're taking out enemy spawn points. We're doing stuff where we can move as a team, where we can keep that discipline training, that habit forming, all that stuff together, but also be conducive to the rest of the platoon. And so all of TRG enjoys the success. So that's where we're at.
Well, that's kind of a good idea. I mean, I've missed a couple of our, I think I missed a couple of our practices and caught a little bit of the Wednesday one. But, one thing I know we worked on Friday, and that was kind of the first time we really ran this. I, one of our things was never be alone. You know, always kind of stick to corners. These kind of little habits that are going to make us better in these smaller environments and working better as a team. Um,
Well, it's also the fact that when you log on to, let's say, a test server, you're doing a scrim, or if you're logging on to the actual competitive server Jaeger, um, you can't play competitive gameplay the way that you play it on live. It's not going to work. You're going to get stomped, and you're going to realize it eventually. And I think that's when we actually realized it was the community clash, and I'm glad that this change was made because some of our casual players may see it as a way of alienating, and really it's for those competitive people. If you want to be competitive, devote yourself. But if you want to, go halfway, sign up for the larger types of battles. Um, as far as like PAL is concerned, in my opinion, I would say those 12 people have to know each other front and back. Um, I play quite often with one of our TRG members. His name is Rots. He's actually directing this podcast right now. I know how he works if I'm behind him. He knows how I work if he's behind me. And that's just the way that, we've always been when playing on live. Now, if we can get, let's say, those other 13 players together that can do that on that type of level all the time, it's going to work. And it's going to work flawlessly.
absolutely, and I think really that learning to play with each other is really what we need to work on. We have a lot of people that are very good on their own, but as we move on to these competitive formats, it's going to be much more important. You not only need to be good, we need to be good as a group, and that's something that's hard to do unless you're used to playing with each other. And I think another thing was I'm really happy the way these fall out this week with what Sardis and Kill6 were talking about. We are definitely always accepting people in the Delta. I mean, people in the clan should not think that, hey, I want to try this, I can't join Delta. I've very rarely seen it full. And
Well, not at
honestly,
all. If I would say, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I would say if you're just getting into the game or want to get into competitive, insert yourself in. Don't well, I can't get in because there's all these PAL guys. One of those PAL guys is probably gonna step out just so you can get in. And that's the beauty of TRG, and I would swear on Sardis's life, even though he's not here, that would happen. So
well, even if you're not interested in doing, I don't really like the high pressure scrimmage stuff. I mean, it's a good way to get experience, running as a group and running at kind of that. If you want to bring your play up to the next level, because that's really our goal here. Is we're trying to say, as a clan, we play at this level, and we really want to bring that to the next level, and we're trying to make the effort that's required to get there. I mean, if you want to be part of that, I'd love to see people dropping in and joining the squad and seeing if they like it. I mean, if you've never done it, give it a shot, see if you like it. Even if you're not on the PAL, I mean, I would honestly say, even if you're not on the PAL roster for this season, the seasons are incredibly short, and there's always something new. I mean, I think the next season's Community Clash is about to start. We're actually getting really good feedback on running scrimmages. I mean, there's definitely the opportunity to do it. From what I've heard, the problem has not been too many people showing up for these scrimmages and competitive events. I mean, we always seem to be trying to fill holes at the last second. So, as a player, if you want to try this, absolutely give it a shot. I mean, personally, it's a lot of fun. I've become a much better player since I started thinking about it. and it's kind of brings us to our next thing too. But before I move on, I just want to ask if Kill6 or Element have any final comments before we move on.
Yeah, just a couple. I would just say that if you're a newer player or newer member to TRG and you do want to join Delta, again, please feel free, but understand that it's a more structured and strict environment. I have been known to call people out a couple times. I screw up, everyone screws up, and it's just like there's a certain level of micromanaging you have to do. So just like come in with a thick skin and an understanding of what you're going to experience. It's not always what you experience in big TRG play.
The only thing I could really think of that, for newer or casual players of TRG, if you want to, be a better player, align yourself with, those kill whores, as we call them. Align yourself with them. You're going to see slight variations into what they do, the weapons that they use, and you're going to actually take that away and you're going to use that to your own advantage to make yourself a better player. That's like one of the coolest things about TRG is, we always give each other feedback, and if something works for somebody, it may work for somebody else, but it may not for another person. So.
Okay, so kind of going from where we're going as a clan to kind of where we've been. One of the big things that come out over the past couple of weeks was PlanetSide 1 went totally free to play. It is not as I remember it. I think there are certain parts of Core Comment that are broken, and there's quite a few bugs, and it's essentially been released as is. But I think we've all taken some time to play it. I always see a fair number of people playing PlanetSide 1. And I just wanted to get Kill6 and Element's thoughts on that. I've seen them both playing it, what they think about it. It's a good break from PlanetSide 2. Is it making you say, man, I wish all these elements were in PlanetSide 2? They figured this out 15 years ago. Why can't they do it again?
There's a few things that I want to touch on, like the Lodestar system, or the Lodestar. That needs to be in PlanetSide 2. Absolute 100% has to be in it. The thought of picking a tank up at your warp gate or Sunderer or whatnot, putting it in the back of this huge vehicle, it looks like a truck bed, and you just go over base and plop, there it is. Deploy, done. There's a few things that I don't miss too, and one of them is infiltrators. Infiltrators can literally one-shot you if they know how to take you down. But they can run around, set up Spitfire turrets. It's like, hi, you can't shoot me because you can't see me. I'm gonna shoot you with my gun. All this great stuff, and I'm like, God damn it. But the fact that PlanetSide 1 is out, I had so many great memories in it, and I when I'm comparing the two, I'm just like, wow, this game is a turd because you can't go from fight to fight very fast because you're limited by the amount of certs that you actually get. So.
Yeah, I'd say I kind of want to leave PlanetSide 1 back in its glory days, because if I revisit it too much now, I'll get mad at no headshots, and then I'll get mad that PlanetSide 2 doesn't have a lot of the really cool metagame stuff that PlanetSide 1 has. The Lodestar is one of them. The whole warp gate system in general is just better. There's a lot that they did in PlanetSide 1 and this is the same argument over and over that you hear all the time, is they should have done in PlanetSide 2 what they did in PlanetSide 1. Well, they're two different games, but there's a lot of stuff that I miss in PlanetSide 1, and then when I go back and play PlanetSide 1, I'm like, they need to change some stuff. But at the same time, I would just push the effort on PlanetSide 2 side, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah, I'll admit I played it a little bit, kind of in off-peak times, and it's a very different game. I mean, there's a lot of things I really miss the play. As much as the PlanetSide 1 bases were very, very cookie cutter, because I think there's 3 of them, um, I really miss the tactical depth that are in those bases. I feel like there's more depth in the entire inside of a PlanetSide 1 base than there is an entire outpost in PlanetSide 2. I miss doors that closed and all the choke points and multi-layers. And on the other hand, Element's right. PlanetSide 2, it's a much faster game, and I guess as gamers, we've kind of grown on from uh, 1942 back then to now we're playing Battlefield 2 and much faster, much lower time to kill, and kind of the expectations have generally changed.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on that just a little bit. The time to kill in PlanetSide 1 versus like PlanetSide 2 is like night and day, because in PlanetSide 1 you don't actually have headshots. You just have the entire character. Doesn't matter where you hit them, does the same damage. And in PlanetSide 2, it's chest shots. Well, I should say torso shots, leg shots, arm shots are all the same, but like headshots are like have that huge multiplier.
Yeah, it's definitely the headshots that make the difference in the time to kill in PlanetSide 2 over PlanetSide 1. I'm still to this day mad about not being able to headshot dudes in PlanetSide 1. That was my major complaint. Sitting there trying to snipe, you hit him in the face, and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. So if you haven't given it a shot, if you've never played it, PlanetSide 1 is free to play. If you're a member, I think it's free to play. If you're not, somebody probably can correct me on that. But if you haven't played it, give it a shot. See where kind of PlanetSide started. I would say going in, it's a very, very different game. But there's a lot of elements to it that really no other game since has picked up on. So I mean, I think it's worth trying if you never have. So before we move on to the clan news and the around TRG, I just wanted to let everybody in the Twitch channel know that we'll be doing a question and answer segment here shortly. So if you have any questions you want to ask, go ahead and type them up and we'll get to them in order. So unless Kill6 or Element have anything else you want to add, I'm getting the note.
Trying to think of. I had something while you guys were talking and I forgot it, but it was about PlanetSide 1. I think it was the fact that you could pretty much play whatever class that you wanted, regardless of how you were actually inserted, I guess. So, like, for instance, you could play a heavy and, wouldn't even think that you're actually playing heavy because you have a remote electronics kit, which is it's a hacking tool. So you're hacking a base. You also have a med tool or an engineer tool in your inventory, and it's like, well, I thought I was playing PlanetSide. Well, that's PlanetSide. PlanetSide 2, on the other hand, you have specific roles. And you fill those roles by, selecting which character or which type of class that you want to be. That's something cool about PlanetSide 1 that isn't in PlanetSide 2, simply because, it has that potential to be like an actual MMO where you can actually choose, or like even close to an RPG where you can actually choose, which direction you want to go in a battle.
Yeah, one of the great things that PlanetSide 1 was that inventory system, which really let you customize your class a lot more than you can PlanetSide 2. But that's where I said, I think they're two very, very different games, and where PlanetSide 2 kind of went for the battlefield role-based combat. The PlanetSide 1 was very much, you can play, much more open in the way you build your classes.
And I just remembered what I was gonna say.
Go ahead.
And this has been an ongoing thing ever since the very first clear comms. So, Liberators, Liberators and PlanetSide 1 were good. They were actually somewhat balanced because you could actually select between, a straight-on shot out of your belly gun or a cluster bomb to take out enemy infantry. And, if you had a good lid pilot, you're pretty much untouchable up there. Now, PlanetSide 2, you have all these different guns that don't have, an alt fire. If like let's say like the Dalton, if that had like a cluster bomb where like it would release at like 100 meters above the ground, it'd be amazing.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, maybe we'll see that someday. One thing I will say, Sony's been doing in this iteration PlanetSide that they were much better off from their last one is they've been, much more responsive on continuing to develop and keep working on the gaming. We're still seeing new things. We're over a year into PlanetSide 2, and we're still seeing new content coming out pretty regularly, and I'm very impressed with that. And so, speaking of content too, a few things going on around the clan. I don't know if everybody's seen the poll out there, but there's a big poll trying to pick an outfit camo. I think it's a camo and a helmet now. And of course, my understanding is entirely optional, but if you want to,
I think it's just camo. I'm just gonna leave my mic on now because it's gonna start getting into a Q&A session pretty soon. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So there's a big poll out there. Go out and look, whatever camo you like best. It'll look kind of cool. We can all look like one outfit. So if you haven't checked it out, it's on PlanetSide 2 forums. Give it a look. Another thing, I think this actually happened last weekend, as well as this weekend, is the WildStar beta is live. I will admit I have not played WildStar yet. I know a lot of other people have. It definitely looks like it's something worth checking out. So I don't know if Element or Kill6, if you have, or even Rots, if you have anything you want to throw into about WildStar. I don't know how much interest there's in that, but it looks like a cool game.
There's definitely been some upswing in interest within TRG about it. I know Pachi wants to get into it. And when he goes places, other people go places because he's a drunk Asian and people follow drunk Asians. The game definitely is looking a lot better, and there's some fixes you can do to make it a lot better, a lot more enjoyable in the combat aspect. And since I was able to figure out those changes, I'm actually enjoying the game a lot more. I should put out that the open beta is right now. It started last Friday, maybe Saturday. I can't remember.
Yep.
But every day you log in, you get like they call them a boom box. It's basically just a loot crate that you get to open. You get 3 per day you log in during the open beta. And if you ever were in a beta or pre-ordered, you get access to the open beta. Now they're wiping everything, but those boom boxes itself alone are worth to log in, really. So if you've been thinking about it, I would check it out. I'm officially ready to recommend it. I was on the fence for a while, but now I think I'm ready to throw my recommendation behind it.
So just to compete with that recommendation, also in the MMO space, we have Elder Scrolls Online has been out for a while. I've seen a lot of people playing it. I played a little bit in the beta. I thought it was really fun. I haven't had much time to play it since release, but I know everybody else has.
That's definitely a game that's captured a lot of attention within TRG. A lot of people play it. A lot of people are playing it very regularly, which is a good sign for stuff in TRG. A lot of people are having a lot of fun with it. I really enjoy it. I just kind of got burned out on it really quick because I think I just played it too much in too short of a time. So it's hard to, I just need to remotivate myself to play it, really. And I truly enjoy the game. The PvP is amazing. And as you get later on in the game, it gets harder. It gets a lot more just enjoyable. So definitely a cool thing going on with that right now. And I think they want to start doing more organized PvP and raids and stuff when that stuff comes out. So if you're interested in ESO, there's definitely some support behind it, and it's definitely a good game.
So that's a definite pick it up if you haven't. And I know there's a little bit more of an upfront cost on that one, but it's worth it. I mean, if you like the Elder Scrolls universe, if you like their play model, it's really, really close to that and really good. I really enjoyed it. And
I was just gonna say about the WildStar betas. Like, that is a really fun game. Like when you're starting to get into it and everything. Like, granted, I'm only like level 11 or something like that, and it's a lot of fun. Like, you have a lot of attacks that do certain things, and they don't really label it like, hey, this is healing, hey, this is DPS, hey, this is tank. But like once you start working with it and figuring it out and seeing how the actual combat system works, because the combat system, it's different than like other MMO RPGs that I've played, because like you're actually doing like a charge up shot, or you know let's say your charge up shot has to crit in order to do another shot. It's different. I like it. It's plus the art style. The art style in WildStar, it's very similar to like World of Warcraft. It's all cartoony and stuff, and you know, it kind of reminds me of like a cute game or like Warcraft when I was very first starting out. But like I saw a little bit of footage from like endgame stuff, like stuff that shit gets real, and it just looks like it's gonna be a really top contender for an MMORPG.
Yeah, so just comment on that. I like how they the humor in the game, like it's very tongue in cheek. They don't take themselves very seriously. Everything's a joke, a parody. I really appreciate that. Makes it a lot easier to play. Um, on the combat system, I think if you were to compare it most directly to anything that already exists, I'd say Smite. If you play that, the MOBA Smite, it definitely plays a lot like that, and it's another game that you have to give a chance. Like you can't like go play up to like level 10 and be like, this game kind of sucks. And you really have to get into dungeons. You really have to see like what that game is about. And it's the same thing for Elder Scrolls Online. Both those games, like if you were to go in and play for like an hour, 2 hours, you're not gonna like the game. So just give it a chance if you go for it. And I think I'm ready to do shameless Star Citizen plug because that's every week now. Um, Dogfight module is supposed to come out this month, but it might have been delayed again. We don't know. When the Dogfight module does come out, we will be organizing some sort of contest or a tournament bracket within TRG. Um, we haven't decided on a prize yet, but I definitely have some ships holding space in my hangar that I'll throw into the prize pool, and I think a couple other people will do the same thing. So look forward to that. Um, definitely going to be pretty cool, but we don't have a timetable yet, so just keep your eyes open on that. And as always, Star Citizen stuff's always happening, so just drop in and ask us about it. That's all I got.
Well, it just came to my attention that we actually missed something in our notes, and that was the implant system that's coming out. And real quick, we're just going to talk about this real quick. What it is it's actually a crafting system. So there's two tiers of implants, tier 1, tier 2. Each implant, has its own thing that it does. So like hold breath, first tier increases the breath duration by 25%, and second tier by 50%. You can also craft these implants. So like if you want, let's say you got like 6 of the hold breath tier 2, and you want something different for for a tier 2. You can take 3 of those implants, combine them together, and they make another tier 2 implant. And the list of implants, their hold breath increases hold breath duration by 25-50%. EOD HUD displays nearby explosives on your HUD. The marker implant auto spots targets when you take damage. Regeneration regenerates 4 and 5% health every second when not taking damage. Those 4 and 5% is tier 1, tier 2. Safe landing, tier 1 starts reducing fall damage at 20 meters, Tier 2 at 30, and lethal fall at Tier 1 is 60 meters, and Tier 2 is 90. I got two more. Battle Hardened reduces camera shake from all explosions, which also reduced flinch when hit by enemy fire. And then Enhanced Targeting displays health of damage spotted enemies. Also increases the HUD reticule of enemy identification range, so you can actually, see somebody like way out there. The implant system is going to be based off of you can buy the implants with certs. You can also buy them with station cash, and they don't actually have this on the test server yet, but when you actually get an experience reward, so like capture of a base or a ribbon or something of that nature, you have a chance to actually get an implant for free. And that's all I got for implants.
I'm really looking forward to see how that goes, and what that's going to look like when it hits live. I really think implants are going to be a great new mechanic and add a lot more depth into the game, which is great. So I want to thank everybody for showing up and listening to us. Take a few minutes and kind of go over next week, and just to show in general, we are back onto our bi-weekly schedule, and we will be broadcasting at the same time, which will be 8 o'clock Eastern, Sunday after next. And on our upcoming show, we plan to have Oblivion and or Apache guest hosting, talking about the new medic patches, the medic rebalance that will be coming up. Those are two of our bigger medic players, for those that don't know them. Hopefully we'll also be seeing the implant system by then, so we'll be discussing that more in depth. And hopefully on the Star Citizen front, we'll have more news on the dogfight model. If not, it's released already, and why the hell aren't you people playing it? And I want to say again, if you do want to get involved in the show, have any, are interested in guest hosting, or have any ideas on content you want us to cover or talk about, definitely go on the TRG forums, go into our little sub forum there and start a thread. If you want to be a guest, we have a thread. If you be a guest host, really all you need is a decent, webcam's preferred, but mic is good enough. As well as any submission for ideas or feedback. We're always welcome to that. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is Kegerator signing off, and I hand it over to Kill6 to kind of do this close.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Just happy to be here doing this. It's good to get back on the wagon. See you all guys next show.
And then I believe it's my turn. Real quick, all I do have is my question of the week for everyone. If you could make your own implant, what would it be and what would it do? Go ahead and post your responses to @TRGClan on Twitter. And this is Element signing out.
Yeah, I killed it. I was trying to get the stupid video to play again, and I couldn't get it to work.
Not a problem.
And you kept poking me, and I was trying to do it. Yeah, oh well.
I'm going to drop out and go into TeamSpeak because I can't hear TeamSpeak stuff in here. So.
Yep. You too.
All right.